The committee meets today to receive testimony on the President's defense budget request for the Army for fiscal year 2023. Our witnesses this morning are Christine Wormuth, Secretary of the Army, and General James McConville, Chief of Staff of the Army. Thank you both for your service, and please convey the gratitude of this committee to the men and women serving underneath you. President Biden's defense budget request for fiscal year 2023 includes approximately $178 billion in funding for the Army, an increase of $2.8 billion from the FY22 enacted budget. The Army's request appropriately focuses on taking care of its people, enhancing training and readiness, and modernizing equipment, but it does so against a largely flat budget. As such, the Army has prepared a tightly crafted budget that attempts to balance all its priorities. However, to maintain momentum on its signature modernization efforts, the Army has significantly slowed its procurement of enduring capabilities. This effort to hold on to every program has inevitably led to inefficiency and spending more for less. To avoid triggering further increases in cost per unit, I'd like to know how the Army can ensure it makes best use of its resources, even as it reduces procurement quantities. The military is shifting its focus and resources to the Indo-Pacific region, and the Army has a critical role to play in this theater, including contributions to joint force capabilities, enabling logistics and pre-positioned stocks, and strengthening relationships with our allies. With that in mind, I'm interested in hearing about the Army's view of its mission globally, especially in the Indo-Pacific, as well as how the service is adjusting to operating concepts and force posture to support the national defense strategy. The Army's most valuable asset has always been its people. I'm pleased to see this budget request places a priority on taking care of our men and women in uniform and the civilians who serve alongside them, including an across-the-board pay raise for military and civilian personnel of 4.6%. At the same time, the budget would decrease the Army's end strength to just under 1 million soldiers, largely due to the difficult recruiting environment. I understand the Army is conducting a holistic review of its recruiting and retention practices, and would ask for an update on how you plan to identify and attract a broader pool of potential recruits and grow back end strength in the out years. The Army must continue to improve its readiness in the context of long-term strategic competition. This budget increases flying hours and training miles to improve the readiness of the individual soldier. It also funds numerous rotations to combine training centers to maintain unit-level readiness. Further, the Army's ongoing focus on large training exercises included the Defender series in Europe and the Pacific, and its leadership in the Project Convergence series demonstrate a commitment to regional preparedness. These large-scale events not only test system capabilities, exercise critical skills like deployment of the force, and demonstrate the value of pre-positioned stocks, they also facilitate joint and coalition experimentation and training, reflecting how the United States would fight in future operations. We are seeing the importance of efforts like this right now in the Ukraine. The Army's budget request includes an overall decrease in research, development, test, and evaluation, RDT&E, but makes important increases in several cutting-edge technology areas. To remain competitive with China and Russia, we must continue to invest in emerging technologies that will define future battlefields across all domains. The Army specifically has been pursuing modernization in the areas of long-range precision fires, air and missile defense, soldier lethality, next-generation combat vehicles, future vertical lift, and the communications network. These are ambitious and far-sighted objectives, but we must acknowledge that the Army has historically struggled to modernize effectively. The establishment of Army Future Command and the reorganization of associate commands injected tremendous energy into modernization efforts, and Congress has provided the Army with wide latitude to make programmatic and structural changes. The Army recently published a directive that refines and clarifies roles and responsibilities for Army modernization. Secretary Wormuth, General McConville, I would ask that you update the committee on the Army's modernization efforts and what resources are necessary to effectively continue them. Again, I thank the witnesses for their participation today, and I look forward to their testimonies. And at this point, let me now recognize